Greetings, salutations, Eddie here. Welcome back to my channel. And my god, I look like I have Lego hair. Sup? No, I'm kidding. Okay, so as I fix my hair, today I'm going to be presenting my least favorite books of all time. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I got this. Yeah, I'll do. So these are my least favorite books of all time. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I just have a lot. And let me just put a disclaimer out there. I'm not saying these books are bad. I'm not. I'm just saying that I did not like them. And, however, the last one I will be talking about, I think we can all agree that was a pretty bad book. But, other than that, these are just my opinions. I'm not here to sort of say that nobody should like these books. These are just, books are subjective. And I have come to be more critical of books, less praise. Hell, maybe some of these books I'll be talking about are your favorites, and that's cool. You know, some of my favorite books, like The Lunar Chronicles, maybe some people's least favorites, and that's okay. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So, for me, these are my least favorites. Let's get right into it. The first one is Insurgent by Veronica Roth, and Insurgent is the second book of the Divergent trilogy, and honestly, I just didn't like it at all. I got kind of bored with it. I just didn't like how it went. I didn't like sort of, the pacing was really, to me, the pacing was a little bit slower than Divergent. Elysian is still my favorite of the trilogy, but my least favorite of the films. But as far as books, as my least favorite, Insurgent wins that spot, and I'm a little upset that I didn't like it. Number 2 is Carve the Mark. So Carve the Mark is Veronica Roth's first series away from the Divergent trilogy. And this is sort of like a this is like a young adult Star Wars book, where it's kind of pitched like that. But I just didn't like it. I may read The Fates Divide, but right now it's not on my radar. I didn't really like the characters from the first book. I didn't like the world. I just didn't like it. It's not a bad book. It just wasn't for me. Number 3 is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And I don't see the hype for this book. I don't see, the format was interesting, but overall I just didn't like the story. I just didn't like how it went. And I don't have the desire to finish the trilogy. And that's rare for me because I don't like to start a series and not complete it. Because me being me, I like to see where the series goes. But overall, Illuminae is not one of those books. Number 4 is a short story, and that's Cast Long Shadows, which is part of the Ghost of the Shadow Market. And I can't remember who wrote this, but I was just bored out of my mind with this story. I don't know exactly what this book, I can't remember what the story was about. I just didn't like it. I'm currently listening to Through Blood Through Fire, I think is what it's called, and I'm really liking that so far, but Cast Long Shadows is my least favorite of the Ghost of the Shadow Market stories. Then speaking of Shadowhunters, City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. And I did not like this story. I mainly just did not like how I didn't like the story that Simon had in the book. I didn't like that. I didn't like most of the interactions between Clary and Jade. I just didn't like it. And it's also the shortest of the Mortal Instruments novels. Because it was, originally, the Mortal Instruments was supposed to be 3 books. City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass. With City of Glass being the last book. But Cassandra Clare extended it to 6 books, starting with City of Fallen Angels. And I did not like it. I didn't like it at all. So, there's that. So number 6 is Valiant by Holly Black, which is the second book of the Modern Fairy Tales trilogy, starting with Tithe. And this one we follow Val and her story. And I just did not like Val. I didn't like the story. I just didn't like it. I was told that it's skippable because I don't think it really adds anything to the main story of Kay. I didn't really like Val as a character. I didn't like any of the side characters. I just didn't like it. And it's probably one of the most disappointing books I've read in 2020. Number 7 is The Archived by Victoria Schwab, which was everybody's favorite supernatural book. And the plot did sound interesting, and I heard so many people loved it, and I read it, and I just did not like it. I just didn't like it. I didn't get it. I just didn't get it at all. I love Vicious. Vicious is still my favorite Victoria Schwab book. I'm about to, this year I will read The Savage Song and Our Dark Duet, which is the sequel. But Archived, no. Number 8 is Crossed by Ali Condi, which is the second book of the Match trilogy. And while the Match trilogy isn't my favorite trilogy, I think I think that the concept is interesting. Matched is the best book in the trilogy, in my opinion. Reached was a good finale for what it was, but Crossed, I felt no climax in the story. I felt nothing. Cassia and Xander and Kasha, that's how you say that version of the character's name. But I've been calling her Cassia, so whatever. I just did not understand this story. I did not understand how this book got to publication. And I hate saying that, and I don't like to say that or think like that, but I just didn't understand it. 9 is the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And this was pitched as an Alien Twilight. And Twilight isn't my favorite. I don't hate Twilight, but I was just meh with it. Then I read Lux. I feel like the series, in my opinion, went downhill after Obsidian, which is the first book. The relationship between Damon and Kat or Kate, it was good, but then it was just sort of meh. I think that the writing, while the writing isn't like the most like descriptive, most poetic, it's the kind of writing style that you can fly through. And I did fly through it, but I felt nothing after a while. Number 10 is Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. And I've never been a fan of Scott Westerfeld to begin with. I didn't really like the Uglies series. So I was kind of going to Afterworlds kind of like lukewarm expectations. And I came out of it disappointed. I really did. I just did not like Lizzie or Darcy's stories. And I feel like it could have just been Darcy's story or Lizzie's story. Number 11 is the Darkest Minds trilogy. I will read The Darkest Legacy, which is the 4th book. And I think it has Zoo on the cover. I believe that's her. But the trilogy was so hyped up. And I think that I was going into it because it was a dystopian trilogy, and I really liked dystopian back then, and I still love it now, but it's not on my radar right now. And I just heard that Ruby was a great character, her Liam was a great character, and Chubbs and Zoo. And I'm going to be honest, I only read the trilogy for Chubbs. I think the best book, in my opinion, is In the Afterlight. Never Fade, to me, is my least favorite of the trilogy. I just did not like Ruby's voice. I didn't like Ruby's voice. I didn't really like Liam. I kind of like Zoo, but I love Chubbs. He was the whole reason why I read the trilogy. 12, this one or this one, I'm not sure. Bloodlines, books 1 through 5 by Rochelle Mead, which is the spin-off series to Vampire Academy, which we follow Sydney and her adventures with characters like Adrian and Eddie and Jill. I was kind of excited, and I was disappointed. I just didn't like Sydney's voice. I didn't really like her relationship with Adrian, her friendship with Jill. I just didn't like it. Now, the Ruby Circle saved the whole series for me, which is the 6th book, and it's the shortest of the books. And I actually loved Ruby Circle, which is so weird. But to me, that saved the whole series. Had it not been a 6-book series, I would have just forgotten about this series in total. Number 13 is Requiem by Lauren Oliver, which is the last book of the Delirium trilogy, which is a dystopian trilogy where love is considered a disease. And we follow Lena and Hannah and Alex. The writing is spectacular. I love the writing. I think the concept of love being a disease was interesting. Then we get to Requiem, and that ending, I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but to me it was not completed. And I understand there's an open ending trope, writing kind of thing. I don't know what you want to call it. Open ending, which I don't like, because for me, I need closure. I need to see what happens to, had the Mortal Instruments have an open ending, that's different because there's a spin-off series called The Dark Artifices and several other spin-off series, which we could see what happens after the events of City of Heaven and Fire, had there been an open ending. Requiem has no other books in that trilogy, or in that series. So I'm pretty sure I don't know what the hell Lena and Alex and Hannah are doing, or Julian. I don't know what the hell they're doing. My two least favorite books of all time. So, number 14, I can never get this right. The Selection series by Kira Cass. And Holly by Golly Books, I know you're watching, so you shouldn't. So here you are. She made a comment on my Christmas Carol book tag when there was a question, and it was like, pick a book that people love that you hate, and I picked Illuminae. And in the comments she said, my shock at your answer at number 9, because she thought I was going to say The Selection. Well, here it is, Holly. I hate the Selection series. I do. I cannot stand America Singer, Maxon, Aspen, characters like Celeste. No. I have no desire to read The Heir or The Crown. I just don't have the urge, and I don't feel a sense of responsibility to read it. 3 books was more than enough for me. And I have no desire to read Betrothed. I know that's not connected to The Selection, but no. Kira Cass's writing, her characters are just not for me. The number 1, I think we can all agree on, this is the worst book, one of the worst books in the history of publication, and that is Revealing Eden, Save the Pearl, Victoria Foyt. I hate this book so much because it's so racist. And the whole thing about it was that she wanted to bring awareness to like climate change or whatever. Well, you didn't succeed, because you called white people pearls, black people coals, and then Latino people ambers, and then Asian people tiger eyes. And you're supposed to, and you expect people to love it with that kind of terminology. From page 1, I hated it. But I wanted to see where it went, just to see if it's as bad as many people made it seem out to be. And I did. I read it, and I regret it. And I literally had to, I'm going to be honest, had it not been a library copy, I would have tossed it out. But I got it from the library, because I will never buy this book. I will never care to buy this book. And I hate this book. And there's a sequel. And I don't understand how there's a sequel. If they ever turn this book into a film or a show, I ain't watching it. Not wasting my time or energy or money to watch it. So, that's going to be it for me from today. That was my least favorite books of all time video. If you guys have favorite or least favorite books that I love, go ahead and just comment down below, but be respectful. And just a side note, if you guys love these books that I did not like, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I'm happy for you. I really, really am. And tell me why you loved it, and just be sincere. I won't judge. Why would I judge? It's not my place. So, anyways, if you guys like this video, big thumbs up. Comment down below your thoughts of these books that I mentioned today, and also for more content, hit that subscribe button. And also, yes, these are the books that I'm currently reading right now. Well, Lady Midnight is over there on my nightstand, so not over here. It's over there. Anyways, I'll see everyone in my next video. Deuces.